I stood in the corner of the riverside venue, watching my wife of 8 years flirt with her ex-boyfriend like I was invisible. The irony wasn't lost on me. We were celebrating Tom and Sarah's 10th wedding anniversary, and my own marriage was falling apart right in front of 200 witnesses. "You look like hell, Eddie." Frank Dillard appeared beside me, beer in hand, his construction-weathered face creased with concern. We'd been friends since high school, back when Monica thought my blue-collar buddies were authentic and refreshing. "Feel worse than I look," I muttered, watching Monica lean into Greg Branson's personal space. Greg owned 3 fitness centers around Milwaukee and drove a BMW that cost more than I made in 2 years managing the Hartwell manufacturing plant. "She's really going for it tonight, huh?" Frank followed my gaze. And no shame. Monica threw her head back, laughing at something Greg whispered. Her new perfume, something expensive I'd never smelled before, had filled our bedroom for weeks. Tonight, she wore the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last month. The anniversary she'd forgotten. "Legal formalities," I heard her say to Greg as they passed near us. "Sometimes marriage feels more like a business contract than anything real." My grip tightened on the beer bottle. Legal formalities. That's what 8 years meant to her. "Eddie, don't do anything stupid," Frank warned, but I was already moving. I intercepted them near the bar. "Hey, honey, mind if I steal my wife for a dance?" Greg's smile was all teeth and smugness. "Actually, we were just discussing Monica's new marketing campaign. Very exciting stuff." "I bet." I looked at Monica. Her cheeks were flushed, eyes bright with something that used to be reserved for me. "One dance? For old time's sake?" "Maybe later, Eddie. Greg was telling me about his expansion plans." She touched his arm, fingers lingering on his bicep. "He's opening 2 more locations next year." "Fantastic." I forced a smile. "Nothing like a good expansion." Greg chuckled. "Monica's been invaluable with the marketing strategy. She really understands the vision." I understood the vision perfectly. Monica had always been drawn to success, and my steady job at a fading manufacturing plant wasn't exactly impressive. Greg represented everything I wasn't: wealthy, connected, ambitious. "Well, don't let me interrupt." I stepped back. "Enjoy your strategy session." I retreated to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at my reflection. 37 years old, still in decent shape thanks to weekend basketball games, but showing the wear of too many late nights, wondering where my marriage went wrong. My father had worked the same job for 30 years and raised 4 kids on it. Different world now. When I returned, Monica and Greg were gone. "They went out to the balcony," Frank said quietly. "About 10 minutes ago." I found them through the glass doors, Monica's back pressed against the railing while Greg leaned over her, one hand on the wall beside her head. They weren't kissing, but the intention was clear. Monica was looking up at him like he held the secrets to the universe. "Jesus, Monica," I whispered. They separated when they saw me, but the damage was done. Monica's lipstick was smudged, and Greg's shirt was wrinkled where her hands had been. "Eddie, there you are." Monica's voice was too bright, too forced. "We were just getting some air." "I can see that." I looked between them. "Having a good time?" "The best," Greg said, straightening his tie. "Monica's quite the conversationalist." "Yeah, she's got a lot to say." I stepped closer to my wife. "Ready to go home?" Monica glanced at Greg, some silent communication passing between them. "Actually, I think I'll stay a bit longer. Tara's giving me a ride." "Tara, her work friend and partner in crime, of course?" "Suit yourself." I kissed her cheek, tasting the lie on her skin. "Don't wait up for me." "I won't," she said, and I knew she meant it. I left them on that balcony and walked out of the party alone. In the parking lot, I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, watching couples leave together, holding hands, laughing at shared jokes. Everything Monica and I used to do. My phone buzzed. A notification from our shared email account, an Uber receipt. Pickup location, the Riverside venue. Destination, Greg's apartment complex on the east side. I drove home to our empty house, poured 3 fingers of whiskey, and sat in my recliner until dawn. Monica never came home. At 7 a.m., I called my sister Debbie. "I need a divorce lawyer," I told her. "About time," she said. "I'll make some calls." Legal formalities, I thought, watching the sunrise through our kitchen window. Let's see how she feels when it's really over. Monica walked into our kitchen at 9:30 the next morning, still wearing the black dress, her hair a mess and makeup smudged. She looked surprised to see me sitting at the table with coffee and legal documents. "You're up early," she said, avoiding eye contact while pouring coffee. "Couldn't sleep." I slid the divorce papers across the table. Funny thing about legal formalities. Sometimes they need to be made official. She stared at the documents like they might bite her. What is this? Divorce papers. I figured since our marriage is just a business contract, we should dissolve it properly. Monica's face went through several expressions: shock, anger, then calculated concern. Eddie, you're being dramatic. I went to Tara's after the party. We had some wine, talked about work stuff. Tara lives downtown. Greg lives on the east side. I showed her the Uber receipt on my phone. Want to try again? She sat down heavily, the fight going out of her. It's not what you think. Really? What should I think when my wife spends the night at her ex-boyfriend's apartment after telling him our marriage is just a legal formality? You heard that? Hard to miss, you weren't exactly whispering. Monica rubbed her temples. Eddie, we've been drifting apart for months. You know that. We barely talk anymore. So you decided to talk to Greg instead? He understands what I'm going through. My career, my goals. Your goals? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. What goals? Sleeping with your ex-boyfriend? Don't be crude. Monica's voice sharpened. Greg and I have history. We understand each other. You have history with me too. 8 years of it. She looked at the papers again. You can't be serious about this. Very serious. Sign them or don't, but I'm done pretending everything's fine. Monica stood up, pacing to the window. People will talk. Let them talk. Maybe they'll have something more interesting to discuss than your marketing campaigns. She whirled around. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just thinking out loud. I finished my coffee. I'm going to work. When you decide what you want, let me know. At the plant, I threw myself into inventory reports and production schedules, anything to keep my mind occupied. Around lunch, my phone rang. Monica. We need to talk, she said. I thought we did that this morning. Not about the papers, about us. Can we meet somewhere neutral? Maybe that diner on 5th Street? Fine. 6 o'clock. I spent the afternoon calling Debbie and getting advice on asset protection. Monica made good money at her marketing firm, but I'd been putting money into our joint savings for years. Time to separate everything. The diner was nearly empty when I arrived. Monica was already there, looking polished and professional again, like the morning's confrontation had never happened. You look better, I said, sliding into the booth across from her. I had time to think. She folded her hands on the table. This is all a misunderstanding. Which part? The emotional affair or the physical one? There's no affair, Eddie. Greg and I are friends. We work together now. He hired my firm to handle his marketing. Convenient. It's business. Monica leaned forward. Look, I know how it looked last night, but you're reading too much into it. Greg was telling me about his expansion plans, and I got excited about the project, that's all. And the sleepover? Her cheeks flushed. I was upset after you left. Tara and I went to Greg's place to continue the conversation about the campaign. I fell asleep on his couch. Monica, do you hear yourself? You're lying to my face and expecting me to believe it. I'm not lying. Then show me your phone. She blinked. What? Your phone? Show me the text between you and Greg. Show me the call history. Monica's hand moved instinctively to her purse. That's private. We're married, or were, until you decided it was just a legal formality. Eddie, please, you're being paranoid. I stood up. Sign the papers, Monica. We're done. Wait. She grabbed my wrist. Don't do this. We can work it out. Like you worked it out with Greg last night? Her grip tightened. Nothing happened. Something happened. Maybe not physically, but something happened. And you know what? I don't care anymore. I left her sitting in that booth and drove to Frank's house. He was in his garage working on his motorcycle and looked up when I walked in. How'd she take it? Like a politician. Lots of words that don't mean anything. Frank wiped his hands on a rag. You sure about this? Divorce is expensive. So is staying married to someone who doesn't want to be married to you. Fair point. He cracked 2 beers and handed me one. What's the plan? Survive it. Keep my dignity. Don't let them make me the villain. Them? Monica and Greg. This isn't over. She's going to try to spin this like I'm the problem. Frank nodded. Probably. But you got evidence. That Uber receipt. Whatever else you can find. Debbie says I should document everything. Keep records. Smart lady, your sister. We drank in comfortable silence, listening to the sounds of the neighborhood settling into evening. Somewhere across town, Monica was probably calling Greg, telling him about our conversation, planning their next move. Let them plan. I was done playing defense. 2 weeks later, Monica still hadn't signed the papers. Instead, she'd launched a charm offensive, telling our mutual friends that I was going through a midlife crisis and seeing things that weren't there. The narrative was simple. Eddie's paranoid, Monica's the victim, and their marriage could be saved if I'd just be reasonable. It might have worked if I hadn't been documenting everything. "She's good," Debbie said, reviewing my evidence file in her law office. "But she's not that good." I'd collected screenshots of Monica's social media activity, showing her at Greg's gym at unusual hours. Credit card statements revealing expensive dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together. Phone records showing dozens of calls to Greg's number, sometimes lasting hours. "The problem is proving intent," Debbie continued. "Adultery requires evidence of physical intimacy, and you don't have that. Yet. Eddie, don't do anything stupid. You're in a good position legally. Don't screw it up by playing detective." But I wasn't planning to play detective. I was planning to play chess. The first move came at Monica's company happy hour, held at a trendy bar downtown. Monica had invited me, probably to show everyone how normal we were. I showed up with Frank and my phone. "Eddie," Monica's boss, Patricia, waved us over. "So good to see you. Monica's been telling us about your situation." "My situation?" "The stress you've been under at work. She's worried about you." I glanced at Monica, who was watching from across the room with barely concealed anxiety. "That's sweet of her. Actually, I've been feeling great lately. Really focused." "That's wonderful to hear." "Yeah, Monica's been a huge help. Very supportive." I pulled out my phone. "Actually, let me show you something interesting." I opened the Photos app and selected several pictures from Monica's Instagram stories. Her at Greg's gym, at restaurants with Greg, at Greg's apartment building. Then I accidentally hit the airdrop button, sending them to everyone in the vicinity with open settings. "Oops," I said loudly. "Sorry, still figuring out this new phone." Within seconds, phones around the bar were buzzing with notifications. People looked at their screens, then at Monica, then at each other. The conversation volume dropped noticeably. Monica appeared at my elbow. "Eddie, what are you doing?" "Just sharing some photos. You look great in them." Patricia was staring at her phone. "Monica, isn't this the client you were telling me about? The gym owner?" "Greg Branson, yes. We're handling his marketing campaign." "These photos are from last weekend," Patricia said slowly. "You told me you were working on the Henderson account last weekend." Monica's face went pale. "I was. This was research for Greg's campaign." "Research?" I said helpfully. "Monica's very thorough." Frank was trying not to laugh. Around us, people were whispering, showing their phones to others who hadn't received the airdrop. The photos were making their way through the crowd like wildfire. "Eddie, can I talk to you privately?" Monica's voice was strained. "Sure, honey. Excuse us, Patricia." Oh, Monica dragged me to a corner near the restrooms. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" "Sharing memories. Isn't that what social media is for?" "You're humiliating me." "I'm just showing people what my wife does in her spare time." "Those photos are taken out of context." "What context? You're either having an affair or you're not." "I'm not having an affair." "Then what do you call it?" Monica looked around, making sure no one could hear us. "Greg and I have a connection. We understand each other, but it's not physical. Yet. It's never going to be physical. I'm married to you." "Are you? Because you keep telling people our marriage is just a legal formality." She flinched. "I never said that." "Monica, I heard you. At the anniversary party. Greg heard you. Half the people there heard you." "You're twisting my words." "Am I? Then explain it to Patricia. She looked confused about your weekend research methods." Monica's eyes filled with tears, but I knew her well enough to recognize the calculated kind. "Eddie, please. You're destroying my reputation." "Your reputation destroyed itself. I'm just documenting it." I left her standing there and rejoined Frank. The party had taken on a different energy. People were clustered in small groups, phones out, voices low. Monica's work friends were giving her strange looks. "Time to go," I told Frank. "Already, this is just getting good. Trust me, the best part comes tomorrow." The next morning, Monica's phone started ringing at 6 a.m. I listened from the kitchen as she answered call after call, her voice getting more strained with each conversation. "No, Patricia, I can explain. Yes, I understand your concerns. No, there's no conflict of interest." By the time she came downstairs, she looked like she'd aged 5 years. "They're pulling me from the Branson account," she said. "That's too bad. Why?" "You know why." She poured coffee with shaking hands. "Patricia says it looks inappropriate." "Does it?" "Eddie, you have to fix this. Call Patricia, tell her you were wrong about what you saw. But I wasn't wrong. Tell her you were. I set down my coffee cup. Monica, do you want to know what I think the real problem is? What? You're not sorry you got caught. You're sorry you got caught by me. She stared at me for a long moment. What does that mean? It means if Greg had been the one to find out about us, you'd have left me already. Monica's phone rang again. She looked at the caller ID, and her face crumpled. Who is it? I asked. Greg. Better answer it. Sounds like you two have some damage control to discuss. She answered the phone and walked into the living room, but I could hear every word. No, Greg, I can't see you today. Because Eddie's making things complicated. I know, but we have to be careful. Yes, I still want to work things out, but not like this. When she hung up, I was standing in the doorway. Work what out? I asked. Monica looked trapped. The marketing campaign. Is that what we're calling it now? Eddie, I swear to you, nothing physical has happened between Greg and me. But you want it to. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Sign the papers, Monica. We're done. I can't. Why not? Because... She struggled for words. Because then everyone will know you were right. And there it was. The truth. Monica wasn't fighting for our marriage. She was fighting for her reputation. Everyone already knows I was right, I said gently. The question is what you're going to do about it. She looked at me with something that might have been hatred. You planned this. I planned to protect myself. You planned to cheat on me. Guess we both got what we wanted. Monica grabbed her purse and headed for the door. This isn't over. Yes, I said, it is. But I was wrong. Monica wasn't done fighting, and neither was Greg. They were about to make their biggest mistake yet. 3 days after the happy hour incident, Frank called me at work with news. Your wife and her boyfriend just tried to break into your condo building. What? Mrs. Henderson from 4B called me. She knows we're friends. Said Monica and some musclehead guy were arguing with the doorman about getting into your place. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Monica, 2 from an unknown number. What did they want? According to Mrs. Henderson, Monica was claiming she forgot her key and needed to get some clothes. When the doorman asked for ID, the guy with her got aggressive. Greg. That'd be my guess. Anyway, building security told them to leave. But Eddie, they looked desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. I called Debbie. File a restraining order, she said immediately. Today. Isn't that extreme? Eddie, they tried to illegally enter your residence. That's not extreme. That's escalation. She was right. Monica had been growing more erratic since the happy hour disaster. Her boss had put her on administrative leave pending an investigation into her professional conduct. Greg's gym was losing clients after word spread about their relationship. Cornered animals bite. That evening, I was reviewing the restraining order paperwork when my phone rang. Unknown number. Eddie, it's Greg. I hit record on my phone app. Greg, what can I do for you? We need to talk. Man to man. I'm listening. This thing with Monica, it's gotten out of hand. Has it? Look, I know how it looks, but nothing happened between us. We're friends, that's all. Friends who spend the night together. She slept on my couch. That's it. Greg, why are you calling me? Because Monica's career is being destroyed over nothing. She's a good person who made some bad choices. What kind of bad choices? Getting too close to a client. But that's all it was. I almost laughed. Greg, do you think I'm stupid? What? Do you think I don't know what's going on? You hired Monica's firm specifically to get close to her. You've been planning this for months. Silence on the other end. How did you... Your ex-girlfriend Jennifer works at the bank where I have my business account. She told me all about your plan to win Monica back, how you researched her company, specifically requested her for the account, the whole thing. Jennifer's lying. Is she? Because she showed me the texts you sent her about Monica. Very detailed texts about your history together and your plans for the future. More silence. Greg, you made one mistake. You assumed I was as stupid as you are. Eddie, listen. No, you listen. Stay away from my wife. Stay away from my building. Stay away from me. Or what? Or I'll show everyone those texts Jennifer forwarded me. The ones where you describe exactly what you plan to do to Monica once you get her away from me. I could hear him breathing hard. You're bluffing. Try me. I hung up and immediately called Jennifer. We'd never met, but she'd been eager to share information about Greg's schemes when I'd contacted her through Facebook. He just called me, I told her. Greg, what did he say? Tried to convince me nothing was happening with Monica. Jennifer laughed. Right, just like nothing was happening when he cheated on me with her 3 years ago. Tell me again about the texts. He's been planning this since last Christmas. Saw Monica's LinkedIn profile, found out where she worked, specifically requested her company for his marketing. He told me he was going to steal her back from that loser husband. And you saved the texts? Everyone. Greg's not as smart as he thinks he is. The next morning, Monica showed up at my office at the plant. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes. We need to talk, she said. I'm working. Eddie, please, 5 minutes. I led her to the break room where we could have privacy. She sat down heavily and put her head in her hands. I'm ruined, she said. Are you? Patricia fired me yesterday. Said I violated company policy by having a personal relationship with a client. Did you? Monica looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. Not the way they think? What way then? Greg and I, we have history. When he hired our firm, old feelings came back, but I never acted on them. Monica, you spent the night at his apartment. On his couch? Why? She was quiet for a long moment. Because I was confused. About us, about everything. Greg made me feel desirable again. And I didn't? Not lately. We've been like roommates, Eddie. When was the last time we really talked? Really connected? She had a point, but it was too late for marriage counseling. So you connected with Greg instead? I tried not to, but he understood my ambitions, my goals. He made me feel like I could be more than just a small-town marketing executive. By cheating on your husband? I didn't cheat, Monica's voice rose. I thought about it, okay? I thought about what it would be like to be with someone who really saw me, but I never did anything about it. Except spend the night at his place and lie to me about it and tell him our marriage was just a legal formality. Monica started crying, and for a moment I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the Uber receipt, the secret phone calls, the humiliation at the anniversary party. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Eddie. For what? Thinking about cheating or getting caught? For all of it. For hurting you. For being stupid. Monica, do you love me? She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I don't know anymore. I love the idea of us, but I don't know if I love who we've become. And Greg? Greg loves the idea of me, but he doesn't know who I really am. Who are you, really? I don't know that either. I handed her a tissue. Then sign the papers. Figure out who you are when you're not married to me. What if I don't want to? Monica, it's over. We both know it. The only question is whether we end this with dignity or destroy each other completely. She wiped her eyes. What about Greg? What about him? He says you threatened him. I told him to stay away from us. That's not a threat. It's common sense. He's talking about fighting back. Legally. I almost laughed. With what? He's the one who pursued a married woman. He says you're stalking him, gathering information illegally. Everything I have came from public sources or people who volunteered information, including his ex-girlfriend. Monica's face went white. Jennifer, you know her? Greg told me she was crazy, that she made up stories about him. Did she make up the texts where he described his plan to steal you back? Monica stared at me. What texts? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots Jennifer had sent me. Monica read them, her face growing paler with each message. Oh my God, she whispered. He played you, Monica. This whole thing was a setup. She handed the phone back with shaking hands. I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're lonely, and he took advantage of that. What am I going to do? Sign the papers, start over, find someone who actually cares about you. Monica nodded slowly. Okay. I'll sign them, today. She stood up, then turned back to me. Eddie? Yeah? I really am sorry. You deserved better. So did you? After she left, I called Debbie and told her to prepare the final paperwork. Then I called Frank. It's over, I told him. She signed? She will, but I don't think Greg's going to take it well. Let him try something. We're ready. Frank was right. We were ready. But I had no idea how spectacular Greg's final mistake would be. Greg's last stand came 3 days later, at the worst possible place and time. I was conducting a safety meeting at the plant when my assistant knocked on the conference room door. Eddie, there are some people here to see you. They say it's urgent. Through the glass wall, I could see Monica, Greg, and a man I didn't recognize standing in the lobby. Greg looked agitated, gesturing wildly while talking to the receptionist. Give me 5 minutes, I told the safety team. In the lobby, Greg was arguing with our security guard, a former Marine named Dave who'd played basketball with me in college. I'm telling you, we need to see Eddie Carver right now, Greg was saying. And I'm telling you to calm down or leave, Dave replied calmly. Eddie, Monica saw me first. We need to talk. About what? Greg stepped forward. About your harassment campaign. My what? Don't play dumb. The photos, the texts, turning people against us. It stops now. I looked around the lobby. Several plant workers had stopped to watch the drama unfold. Greg, you're making a scene. I don't care. You've destroyed Monica's career, you've cost me clients, and now you're spreading lies about me. What lies? Those texts from Jennifer. She fabricated them. Did she? I pulled out my phone. Because I have screenshots with timestamps. Want me to show everyone? You can't prove those are real. Actually, I can. I looked at Monica. Did you sign the papers? She nodded miserably. Yesterday. Then we're divorced. This conversation is over. No, it's not, the third man said. He was tall, well-dressed, and had the look of someone used to getting his way. I'm Paul Morrison, Greg's business partner. We're here to discuss a settlement. A settlement for what? Defamation, harassment, intentional interference with business relationships. I almost laughed. You want to sue me for telling the truth? We want you to stop spreading lies, Greg said. Monica and I never had an affair. You're right, I said. You didn't have an affair. You had something worse. What's that supposed to mean? An affair is about intimacy. What you had was a conspiracy. I held up my phone and hit play on a voice memo. Greg's voice filled the lobby. Look, Eddie, I know how it looks, but nothing happened between us. We're friends, that's all. Then my voice. Greg, you made one mistake. You assumed I was as stupid as you are. The recording continued, playing Greg's admission about researching Monica's company and specifically requesting her services. You recorded our phone call? Greg's face was red with anger. Wisconsin is a one-party consent state. I can record any conversation I'm part of. Paul stepped forward. That recording was obtained under false pretenses. No, it was obtained during a phone call where your partner tried to lie to me. Dave, the security guard, was enjoying this. So were the plant workers who'd gathered to watch. Here's what really happened, I announced to the growing crowd. Greg here researched my wife's company and specifically hired them to get close to her. He's been planning to break up my marriage for months. That's not true, Monica said weakly. Isn't it? I showed her phone to the crowd, displaying the screenshots from Jennifer. These are texts from Greg to his ex-girlfriend, describing his plan to steal Monica back from that loser husband. A murmur went through the crowd. Someone was recording with their phone. You have no right to share private communications, Paul said. They're not private. His ex-girlfriend shared them with me voluntarily. Greg lunged forward. You son of a... Dave stepped between us. Easy there, tough guy. This is harassment, Greg shouted. We'll sue you for everything you have. With what money? I asked. I heard your gym's hemorrhaging clients. Because of your lies. Because people don't like cheaters and homewreckers. Monica started crying. Eddie, please stop. Stop what? Telling the truth? You're humiliating me. You humiliated yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows what really happened. Frank appeared in the crowd, along with my sister Debbie. They'd been expecting this confrontation. Everything okay here, Eddie? Frank asked. Just having a business discussion with my ex-wife and her boyfriend. We're not together, Monica protested. Yet, Greg said, then immediately looked like he regretted it. The crowd laughed. Someone shouted, Smooth move, Romeo. Paul tried to regain control. Mr. Carver, we're prepared to offer you a settlement in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement. How much? $50,000. The crowd went quiet. That was serious money. $50,000 to keep quiet about what exactly? About any alleged relationship between Greg and your ex-wife? There's no alleged relationship. There's a documented conspiracy to break up my marriage, followed by an emotional affair that would have become physical if I hadn't filed for divorce first. You can't prove that, Greg said. Can't I? I looked at Monica. Tell them about the night you spent at his apartment. I slept on the couch. Why? Because... Monica looked around at all the faces watching her. Because I was confused. About what? About my marriage. About my feelings. For Greg? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. And Greg, tell everyone why you hired Monica's company. For marketing services. And? That's it. I played another recording, this one from my conversation with Jennifer. He's been planning this since last Christmas, saw Monica's LinkedIn profile, found out where she worked, specifically requested her company for his marketing. He told me he was going to steal her back from that loser husband. The crowd was completely silent now. Greg looked like he wanted to disappear. So here's my counteroffer, I announced. You leave me alone, you leave my friends alone, you stop spreading lies about me having a midlife crisis, and I won't show these recordings to every gym member, every potential client, and every woman in Milwaukee who might be considering dating either of you. You can't do that, Paul said. Watch me. Dave stepped forward. Gentlemen, I think it's time for you to leave. We're not done here, Greg said. Yes, you are. Dave's voice carried the authority of someone who'd seen real combat. Move along. Monica looked at me one last time. I really am sorry, Eddie. I know. Take care of yourself, Monica. She nodded and walked toward the exit. Greg and Paul followed, Greg muttering threats under his breath. The crowd began to disperse, people heading back to work with plenty to talk about. Frank clapped me on the shoulder. Well, that was entertaining. It's over, I said. Think they'll try anything else? No, Greg's too embarrassed, and Monica just wants to disappear. Debbie approached with a satisfied smile. The divorce is final, as of this morning. You're a free man. How does it feel? Frank asked. I looked around the plant floor, at the workers heading back to their jobs, at the life I'd built that had nothing to do with Monica or Greg or their schemes. Like I can finally breathe again. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Monica had moved to Chicago for a fresh start. Greg's gym business failed, and he'd left town owing money to several creditors. Paul had bought out Greg's share for pennies on the dollar. I never saw any of them again. But every morning when I woke up in my quiet apartment, made my coffee in peace, and headed to work without wondering what lies I'd discover that day, I remembered the lesson they'd taught me. Sometimes the best revenge is simply refusing to let someone destroy your life.